mission for peace, but in the end, I can find that there happened what that I understood that I find that there are mission of war. This is not true with the demographic situation, including with the climate change, which is the fake. The agenda of the deep state, if I can say like this, is just to control the people and to control, in the last period of time, the last two years, to control the soul. This cleverly, it's more this ideology, to be politically correct, destroy the world.
Welcome to Clearview. Today, we are fortunate to have a very interesting guest who has worked in the so-called deep state for many years. As some of you know, I'm Romanian by birth. And of course, I also follow international but also Romanian news. This is how I met Mr. Calin Georgescu and followed him for several years because he has a very exciting biography. He worked for the United Nations as an expert on sustainable development for 17 years, and he was chairman of the board of the European Support Center at the Club of Rome. He has separated from these institutions for about 1 year and is no longer a member of these NGOs. What kind of experience he made and what made him stop working for the United Nations and the Club of Rome, how he feels now, why he started a new movement in Romania will be discussed in this conversation. Today, we were able to win him over for our German media platform, Infrarot, and conducted this conversation in English and recorded it online. I wish you all revealing insights from this highly interesting conversation. Yeah, welcome, Mr. Calin Georgescu. I'm very happy and honored that you took your time to have a little talk with me. A lot of people won't know you because you're Romanian. You made a lot of interviews in the Romanian language or in English. You are somebody who worked long time in the United Nations and in the Club of Rome. And for me, it's a very interesting personality. And this is the reason why I talk to you. I follow you since some years and I like what you say, but I was always very skeptical because I know that these NGOs have a lot of impact on us people, global people. And so, first of all, I would like to know, how did you get into the center of the Club of Rome and United Nations?
Thank you. First of all, thank you for your kind invitation. Thank you for having me. And indeed, there are absolutely very heavy questions regarding particularly the situation which is around. And particularly because if we remember, all of us, the United Nations, if we can start with that, starting with 1945, the reason to build the League of Nations, I was in the beginning, and after that United Nations organization, was to don't be anymore any war in the world. However, as we know, all of us, each year we had minimum 20, 30 conflicts around the planet. And of course, the mainstream media recognize a lot what is happening in Afghanistan. You remember in Iran, in Iraq, in Somalia, which actually I have been, by the way, long time ago, also in Syria, and many, many, many of them, including the last one in Ukraine. So, with other words, from my experience, almost 17 years in United Nations, part in Romania and part internationally, most part of that, in Geneva, of course, is the question mark regarding who is the principal leader of United Nations, in a sense, to serve to whom, in fact. Because if we are looking what is happened, I didn't hear, by the way, in even the last weeks, any speech about peace. Any.
There was a woman, I just posted on my news channel, there was a woman in the European Parliament. She said, "What's going on? Nobody talks about peace."
All right. All right.
Yes.
Right. And moreover, it's interesting that most of the presidents of big countries, they start a lot of conflicts and war. They invest in military defense, which also is absolutely a stupidity. Why you have to invest in military if all of us we need peace is a question as well. And after that, they receive Nobel Prize for Peace. So it looks strange, and from my experience, I can say that the conflict, the crisis start in the mind of the human being and have to stay and to rest there, not to go outside. The mind, it's a very difficult process of the people because a lot of us, they are staying in the mind instead to stay in their own heart or soul. And I think it's complicated to understand how we arrive so far to the moon and we cannot arrive from our mind to 40 centimeters to our heart.
Well, they never arrived again to the moon. This is another question.
Yeah,
but
it's true.
But is this the reason why you started? You wanted to change something in the world. So do I understand well? So
it's United Nations. To start with that, it's even for me, it was a dream. I was very well trained in Romania, particularly from my master, Professor Mircea Malița, a lot of years, almost 20 years, 25 years. And I understood that United Nations can be a platform, fantastic for the country and for the peace, for development of the countries, for the welfare of the population. And of course, I want to admit that there are a lot of reasons to say this. However, when you go deep, you can see that everything is just a theater. And you cannot arrive, in fact, to the main point, which in fact, all of us, we are looking for the beautiful of the life, the freedom, and in general, the happiness. And happiness, particularly in the missions where I have been, doesn't exist. All the missions, they are called mission for peace, but in the end, I can find that I understood that I find that there are mission of war, because in any mission, you start from your office with an agenda, and when you arrive in the ground, you find another agenda. And everything is strange from this point of view, as well as regarding the Club of Rome, which was starting with a fantastic objectives, goals regarding the humanity, regarding the relationship between humanity and the natural resources, with a main goal that we have just one planet and not two, and we have to admit that it's our house, it's our mother, in fact, the Mother Earth. And from this objective, because was a lot of influence of the people, of the main brain of the big, absolutely men and women, which they start to think carefully, like a think tank, very strong. In fact, was the best, the top think tank in the world was Club of Rome. To influence, in fact, the politicians, they start in the last 10 years to influence and to go inside the Club of Rome, to influence the decision So the politicians, they go inside, and the Club of Rome starts to be politically correct. And in a moment when you start to be politically correct, you lost totally your freedom, and you lost, in fact, your objective as human being to be first of all to live with dignity, with honor, and with to make appreciation of the life, and not to just to accommodate the interest of the politicians.
So can I understand that when you entered as a member the Club of Rome and the United Nations, your motivation was very high on working on peace, and then during the years you found out that it's not so easy to stay political correct? Or how can I understand that?
Yeah, I mean, let's be very clear. Nobody wants to stop the war.
Because of the military-industrial complex.
Because the economy is based on the war. You destroy, and after you rebuild.
But nobody tells us this. You tell us this now, because now you're out of the United Nations and you're out of the Club of Rome. Is it right?
No, it's not like this. During my position, including also with my former colleagues, which a lot they left. I'm speaking about the United Nations, particularly, not about the Club of Rome, which also in Club of Rome they left a lot. We discussed during our meetings and our conference about this subject. I was not alone. Okay, there are few voices, it's clear. I mean, cannot be many. But of course, the majority of them, of course, they coordinate very strong these aspects. And of course, it's not easy to go through. However, I can say that this ideology, to be politically correct, I have also the responsibility to say today that this ideology destroyed the world. Because in order to be politically correct does mean to accept an agenda which is not the agenda of the dignity of the human being and the respect between us. First of all, the respect for yourself, and after that, the respect between us, and also to respect the Mother Earth. And this was happened everywhere around the planet. I have been in Somalia after 5 years after the disaster in 1995. So they killed for their interest almost 1 million local people. And it's not easy to understand this, particularly when you see with your eyes what is inside, which there are 2 or 3 groups of ethnic people which they fight each other. They are there are a lot of others around as foreigners, which they invest in them just in order for them to fight each other, and continuously is in Somalia right now the situation.
Yes, we hear
everywhere is the same situation. The war serve to the guys which they have a profit from the war. So let's be very clear, nobody, and I have the responsibility of my words, nobody, any human being today, naturally, we don't want to know about war, correct? Nobody wants to have this, nobody. I mean, just a crazy mind can believe about that, even because we believe in God and we are Christian, we cannot think about that. However, there are many, and they continue to be. And this is
peace is dangerous, you know, Mr. Georgescu. Peace in the history. Everybody who had a lot of followers and who was speaking about peace, Martin Luther King or Gandhi or whoever, even Jesus, who talked about peace, they were all killed or tried to be eliminated. But you said something, you know, the basic idea of Club of Rome was a good idea, maybe. And I want to tell you a little story. Maybe it's interesting for you. I have a female girlfriend. She's 74 now. And she was reading The Limits to Growth. That was the book of Club of Rome that came out in 1972. And because of this book, and the view on the future, she decided not to have children. She's 74 now, my good girlfriend. And she told me this because I told her, listen, I will talk to Calin Georgescu. He was in the Club of Rome. And I was very surprised. And she was also surprised because at that time she was a young woman, ready to make children. And she was so scared of the view on the future that she's decided for herself. And we see these pictures everywhere, even in Germany on demonstrations, young women, they say, don't make children. It will be awful for the climate change. And Club of Rome is the one who started the discussion of the climate change. So you see, sometimes it's people want to do good, and at the end, some bad things happen.
Yeah, I'm really sorry for your friend, because this is not true with the demographic situation, including with the climate change, which is a fake one.
You say now it's a fake, but for the Club of Rome, it was the
for this reason I
most interesting thing.
For this reason I left, because there are good things. I of course, myself and others, we try to change the line. Of course, Limits to Growth basically was absolutely concentrate that the people, they have not the right to make a huge exploitation of the natural resources of the planet, and particularly because it's a huge difference and discrepancy between the rich and the poor, and particularly because each hour from the last 25 years, 30 years, each hour, including in our hour when me and you we are speaking, we have this conversation, surround the planet, 100 children, they die, and $100 million that are invested for weapons each hour. So let's be very clear. We need the language of Jesus. We cannot use the language of politicians if we want to survive. It's impossible.
Well, now we get more spiritual. Because I have a question, because we are in, I must say, we are in spiritual times. There's a kind of a war between like humanity and transhumanism that is like working together. Yeah, the humans wants to stay human. The others say, no, we have to progress and make us more perfect. And I think this is also a problem that we are facing right now. Where do we want to go as humanity? Is this also a reason why you said, I want to get out of these structures that are not using humanity?
Yeah, very well, as you said. Yeah, I mean, in a sense, as question, of course. I have two observations. First of all, before that, we discussed about a war between globalization and sovereignty. This is number one, because the globalization, they don't need to have countries with sovereignty. And second, because based on that, and based on this situation, which is absolutely a chaos around, my strongly thinking is that we want to see that, first of all, understand that everything it's happened because the God has a plan, and he cannot allow to happen what has happened today. And I think it's our chance for a big shift. Really, what has happened today, it's our chance for a big shift after 2000 years after Jesus Christ. That what he said, exactly this is happened today. And of course, we vote permanently, not Jesus Christ. We vote as human being permanently Barabbas. For almost 2000 years, we are voting just him. If I am looking to United Nations leaders, if I can say leaders, okay, we can say just people which they have power. They are selected exactly, precise, 100%. There are selected people totally politically correct, which they cannot move. They have not right to have any, how I can say, opinion. And they impose to the people below to don't have any opinion. And I want to mention the key of this situation. The key of this situation is a school. Because in the moment when they decide to crucify Jesus Christ, they think how we are doing now. If it's happened or if it's coming another one, how we can control the people. And
well, it's all about the control of the people right now.
And they find the solution. We build a school. And through education, they control almost everybody, because the children is going with purity, with innocence, with love in the life, and left the school as an adult standard.
I always call it, it's limited, absolute limited. Yeah, you should be limited. And this is a horror for me as an artist, because artists always think, hey, you're free. There is no border for you. You can try anything, and you are always limited in this society.
Even that you are in the society doesn't need for you to be wise, because it's against the investment which a society making you. So for this reason, they don't need you to be wise. They need you just to be obedient, to respect the rules, to respect the agenda, to be politically correct. Otherwise, if you are free, you are rebel. You make questions.
That's dangerous.
Against the society. And the society does mean not the society which ourselves and the people in general they are thinking. The society, it's like general, the place where I'm living is wrong. The society is made by them. In order for you to respect the rules and to be slave, the slavery is more strong than before. We remember Dakar in Senegal, the door for the slaves in Europe. Dakar is everywhere today. Dakar harbor is everywhere. It's a place of the slavery in order to dictate that we control everybody. And I'm telling you the solution. The solution, they are not the conferences. They are not, is not the, how I can say, the speech or any book or any, okay, could be useful, but it's not the solution, or any other, whatever newspaper or media. The only solution is the inside revolution. the individual one.
Mm-hmm.
So everything is based on what you are doing yourself. And by the way, you can see how media coordinate very, very smart all this process in order to arrive to the point. And I'm thinking how we are living without media. How we are living without media, I think is much better. Because in fact, to coordinate the mind, you coordinate the information. And very often I hear close to my people or others in the country, from where you know? Well, in the TV, they said on the TV. So everybody is related to the TV. Okay, but your heart, your soul, the books of the highest and the biggest, how I can say, wise people surround the planet, which there are many, of course, from Victor Hugo to Roosevelt to Tolstoy to whatever. There are so many, you know, and the people, they are looking just to the TV, just to the TV, you know, and for this reason, of course, we are today here, slave of ourselves, because the fraud is not only the fraud that I have the fraud from others. No, it's the fraud for you. I mean, yourself, you make for your fraud because you betrayed yourself. Understood my point? You actually, you're against yourself because you accept that you contribute to the society. You are not contribute to the society. You contribute in order to denigrate yourself, to denigrate your spirit, your influence of the consciousness for the whole universe. Because the only goal which we have on this life, the only one, there are not two, there are not three, it's only one.
Yeah, but you know, I like absolutely what you say.
Just to say this, the only goal is to contribute to the consciousness of the universe during your life, with what you are doing. If you are not, if you don't make any contribution, just you repeat your life.
Well, yes, I like what you say because that's a good idea to first have an inside look. What made you? What was there a special situation when you said, "I can't do my real work"? Yeah, my real work here in the Club of Rome or in the United Nations. Was there something that made you really feel you're absolutely wrong and something is wrong and you have to change? Because you talked about the consciousness change. What made you change? And when was it? How did it happen? In the middle of people who always play a role. I mean, we know how people talk out there in the mass media when they're in the public. And you seem to be a very human personality, yeah, now. But what made you feel, or was it maybe a long period that you found out that something is changing inside of you? Maybe you can describe that feeling.
Sure. The reports, the most famous report, Limits to Growth, I can say for me is limit of dignity. It's just my honor to be human being. I cannot accept to be driven by others or other agenda. And by the way, knowing from my side, of course, the international agenda, which is totally different as media explain to the people that what is doing the left side, the right side, is totally another point. The agenda of the deep state, if I can say like this, is just to control the people and to control, in the last period of time, the last two years, to control the soul, to control the humanity. which doesn't have to exist anymore. And we can see that what we can lose today if we are not on our legs very strong, we can lose the humanity from ourselves. And this is in fact the goal, because the soul remains forever. If they can control this, they control the people. Everything is based on power, the need of power, not particularly the money. The interest is a power.
Our power.
Power is a drug. Is like is much faster than whatever drug exists today. And for this reason, it's a drama which has happened. And again, I repeat the second time, it's our chance today for a big shift. If we can understand that our thinking is important and our inside revolution, inside engineering, this is a term, inside engineering in ourselves, in order to contribute to the peace of the world, we need peace in ourselves.
That's very good said. Yeah, you lived long time in Austria, where the UN is stable, and also in Switzerland. And then last year you decided to go back to Romania with your whole family. Why?
First of all, because it's a spirit which make for you happy only if you arrive to your own land and to contribute to the happiness of your people in order to contribute after that to the happiness of the world. And I have seen that my colleagues, my Romanian people, they don't smile very often. And this make for me to take this decision in order to come and to contribute how much I can to the happiness of the people, because this is only one point in order to change in a real sense the country. And of course the spirit of the land is important, because the land and the property of the land is what all of us, not only Romania, but all of us, we are looking for, because we depend about land. We depend about what we have the relationship with the spirit of the land permanently. And by the way, it's also the interest and which I have in order to discuss about the new economic model. Because everything which was happened today in the world is just to control the people, to control the private property, and just to concentrate everything in one hand, to make a centralization. Even that we discuss about democracy, even that we discuss about capitalism or globalization, is just to concentrate everything in one hand. Look to the hypermarket, by the way, supermarket, sorry. Whatever supermarket is, Spar or Lidl or Kaufland, or everything is there. If I
not in Germany right now, we have a problem with oil.
yeah, that's true, but still, you know, so everybody depends about one center. If this center is closed one day, and will be, I can tell you, by the way, what the people they are doing. Yeah. So for this reason, we have to come back to the normality of the life, how our main father of politics, like Thomas Jefferson, for example, United States, did so at the time, and to discuss about distributive model, about the economy, which is based on the free market of the private property and the people to coordinate this together, to work together, to live together. The harmony is very important today. The harmony is very important today, not to against. Look, it's very simple. If we are looking to the peace, why you have to invest to the weapons?
Yes.
This is very, so for this reason, you can see that nobody wants to stop this. So for this reason, also, I was come back in Romania in order to help how much I can from my speech, for my contribution. I have set up also
and you, I must say, you were an expert of sustainable development.
Sustainable development, yeah. Sustainable development, by the way, you know, it's perfect as concept, but never was happened. I participate to almost the top meetings, conferences, whatever, starting with 1992 until today. All the meetings, all of them, they end with just one conclusion: how we can develop the consumption, and many times with gala dinner. So this was only the reason to have the conference on sustainable development. Sustainable development is perfect, and you can see here the manipulation. It's perfect as concept. Nobody can against you, by the way. But in fact, to put into practice this doesn't exist in any country. So this is a problem, because it's perfect one as concept. Like if we are talking about love, fine. Nobody say to you is not correct, but it doesn't exist.
Well, and this is a problem, because I really worked on the Agenda 2030 or Agenda 21, whatever you want to call it. It's just a chapter of the 21 agenda, is the 2030 agenda. And I think for myself, I found out that it's a problem. It's a question of self-determination or external determination. There's a big difference, because if you read the UN Agenda 2030, you can read beautiful things. We like to have clean air, good food, health for everybody. Everything is, if you read it, you just think, wow, this is paradise on earth if Agenda 21 is happening. But the problem was exactly what you said several times. It's the control mechanism on top of all this that makes it not possible, because you cannot control individuals when we are over 7 billion individuals. And I think it's a problem of the system. It's not a problem of our people. It's a problem of the system, because they always think we need a system and then it's going to work. What do you say about this thing, self-determination or external determination?
Exactly. Is they control us with our own hands. So we participate to our fraud. You understand my point? We are the participant of the jail. In order to escape from the jail, you have to recognize first of all that you are in the jail. And I can tell you more. You are the jail yourself. Because the reality in the ground is the following. Today, when me and you were speaking, there are 7.8 billion people surround the planet. By the way, we can be double. No problem.
Why not? We have enough land on this planet. We can be 30 billion. Doesn't matter.
The planet can give us everything. One thing cannot give: the greed. This is impossible to give to us. We are 7.8 and 48%. Be careful. 48% of the population, they are living below $2 per day. So it's a disaster. everywhere. And as a person who worked a lot in Africa, who, by the way, is the most richest continent and the most beautiful one from the planet, this is a full control totally. And special, I come back again, through education, exactly like in Europe. Through education, you can control everybody. Because, as I told you, the children is going with purity from their family, from his family in the school, and after the school remain and become a standard adult. Just have to be accommodated with a society which you can control totally. So look what's happened 2 years ago when started this situation with what is called it COVID, whatever. Anyway, it's not my business. The point is that what is amazing is that all the planet in 1 minute, they are on their knees. Immediately. How is happened that?
Well, the WHO has some new rights, and this is what happened because they changed the WHO. They changed it. I think in 2018 they said now we have a new paradigm for speaking out for a pandemic, and now you need. I think, I don't know exactly, but 5 cases and 5 different countries, and then they can say now it's a pandemic. And I mean, they always change rules, and then we think, what's going on? In the health system especially, I mean, let's go back to your personality, because you got out of these NGOs and then decided to make a kind of a movement about the water, the food, and the energy.
Yeah.
And this is what interests me very much, because we need solutions. We need self-determinating solutions.
The solution I am telling you now. So first of all, that 9 years ago, I launched a project for Romania, call it Food, Water, and Energy, which today everybody can see that is exactly the drama which we are looking for today, because without food, without water, without energy, particularly. But the main important solution is, first of all, for everybody, in particular for Romania, to internalize the externality, which does mean to administrate properly only yourself, your natural resources, and nobody has the right to make an exploitation to them. And also to build small community with sovereignty, sustainable community, in a sense to produce everything locally and don't depend anymore about any central hypermarket, supermarket, whatever, international supermarket, whatever there are. So everything we can do ourselves in the moment when we can administrate ourselves, our natural resources. This is in Africa. The countries in Africa, they are almost destroyed, totally, because others, they plunder the natural resources of them, and they are looking to them. Exactly this has happened with Romania, and I encourage my people, in order to understand that we have to come back to small community, small cooperation between people in order to distribute. For this reason I said distributives, exactly the concept of Thomas Jefferson, long time ago, to help each other, to communicate each other, and to if today in one community I produce corn, and another community, I don't know, produce, for example, apples, okay? I give the corn to them and they give the apple to me, and I start to change. And this is happen everywhere, can be happen, because the philosophy of the universe is to love between us. The love is the main power which can be on this planet.
And this is this the reason why? Is this the reason why the politicians and all the NGO people never talk about love?
Yes, and also I can recognize today that it's a time, really it's a time of the woman to arrive in front, because it's a time of creativity, and only the woman can do that, because she has the creativity, not the man. Not the man. And we have to recognize the life. The life, particularly, is inside the woman. Her instinct, her voice, her presence have to be more empathic today and more presence today, because her presence can stop this chaotic situation, first of all, and particularly this violence. In the moment when you approach the love during this violence, you have the biggest power in the world. And this can be recognized, or should be recognized by the leader, the politicians, if they want to have real peace and not war. However, we have to understand that everything is a plan from the God, because only the God leave him to follow these things, which normally after 2000 years of, how I can say, of many fakes, of many liars and discrepancies between what is a reason of the life and what we are doing in fact, we don't produce just a small part of civilization. Look today, how many places there are around the planet where the people, they have concerts as before, or sports, or harmonia in communication and theater and philosophy and debates, and no, all of them, they are concentrating exactly the emotion in which, or through, they control you, the fear that will be a war, the fear that I have no salary, the fear that I have not food, the fear that I have not water. Everything is controlled as human beings through this top emotion, the fear. And we don't need to have fear, because the God loves us. That we just consider everything as we just consider, in fact, Jesus Christ, and we change him in a business, absolutely in a business. Exactly the people who kill him, now today they promote him. So it's absolutely a fake. And we have to recognize in ourselves the scars which we have. And through these scars, we can be ourselves free and sovereignty. We have to promote the sovereignty only if we recognize who we are. But if we don't recognize this, it's impossible to arrive to any point. To any point, I'm telling you. And particularly to leave this politic, which is today, would destroy, in fact, the planet, to leave to the garbage. We don't need this. The humanity, in the moment when he will arrive to the decision to live in a peace with the universe, for sure will leave out the politicians, any parliament, any boundary, any passport, etc., etc. Simply, we are living in our planet and we respect our land. This is all which you are looking for.
Yeah, you say you have a lot with the respect for their own land, their own nation. You say sometimes also that you are a nationalist, and maybe you can make the definition of a nationalist. My opinion about the situation, normally I would say there are no borders and everybody's free on this planet. But right now, because I know about the agenda, I would suggest stay in your country, stay in your region, because they want to destroy all this. And maybe you can make a definition what you mean when you say I'm a nationalist. Because in Germany, if you say you're a nationalist, you're immediately kind of a Nazi or whatever. Maybe I could hear your definition, because you went back to your country.
I am a sovereignist. I am looking to the sovereignty, not to nationalism. I am not a nationalist. I am sovereignist.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's much better.
And these have to be, in fact, the main point of the life, because we discuss about the freedom which we have and the sovereignty which we have as human being, and we disconsider this instead of to hear or to adopt other decision from outside which is not ours.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because we don't hear our heart, we don't hear our soul, we hear just the politically correct attitude which is surround us and destroy us.
Mm-hmm.
This is a point. So for this reason, I am engaged totally with the sovereignty. Only that.
Very good, very good. So now we are at the end of this time. I would really love to talk to you maybe in 1 year again, so that we can say what happened with the movement. Your movement is called in English Ancestral Land. I will put the link down below this video so that people can get on your website. Maybe there can be also an international community that works together in this kind of frequency. Yeah, this would be nice.
Would be very nice, and indeed you are right regarding this point. And of course, I'm looking to the independence of the people in order to know who we are and what is the reason to arrive here on the planet. What is our mission to be here? For sure, the mission is not to have a salary on the corporation and to stay outside of the nature and to don't understand nothing about why we are in the middle of the nature, but in fact we are not with the nature. So these points one day will be solved, and I'm sure that we are continuously make a development for our life, in a sense to be much better, much productive, and with more peace and happiness. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Calin Georgescu from Romania. Thank you. All the best for you.
Yeah, that was our chat with Calin Georgescu, a long-time insider at the Club of Rome and the United Nations. Stay curious and stay human. Until next time.